So, you guys should have gotten these as you came in. If you didn't, if you want them, this is your memento. We talk about Michael Keith Root, the multifaceted man of many talents. So, the definition of quintessential, according to Webster, is representing the most perfect or typical example of a quality or class. For example, a quintessential way to start a speech is with a Webster definition. Especially this speech, especially for this man, Michael Keith Root, the quintessential version of all these facets on that sheet of paper you were handed when you walked in. Today, we come together to celebrate my Uncle Mike. So let's raise our glass and toast the man, the myth, the legend, Michael Keith Root. Before we go too far, let me introduce myself. My name is David Root, and Mike is my uncle. And while today is not about dwelling on what's to come, but what we hold dear about Mike, let me be clear. Cancer fucking sucks.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Today, we give cancer the finger and celebrate the man who fought it.
Yes. Amen.
We're going to tell stories about Mike and celebrate him. They can be funny stories. They can be sad stories. They can be thoughtful stories. But most importantly, they will be your stories of times you shared with Mike. So don't censor yourself. Mike wouldn't if he was telling them. But please condense yourself. We don't want to wear Mike out. So we are live streaming this event. Thank you to all the people who are live streaming. So this is going to go to Mike's Facebook page. It's right now on my Facebook page. So we're going to ask that you use the microphone. That way people live streaming can hear it. And we can hear it in the room. Mike can hear it. And also, if you want to watch it later, you'll be able to hear yourself.
Nobody likes it.
Use the mic. I've got plenty of cord, and it will reach you. As you write today, you received a postcard with the different facets of Mike, the multifaceted man of many talents. In the 80s, Mike could solve a Rubik's Cube faster than I could spit out this sentence. In celebration of the facet of Mike's mind, we're going to break up this afternoon into segments. So if you have a story to tell about a certain facet of Mike, please keep it till that time.
There's lots of Rubik's Cubes sitting on the different tables, so feel free to see if you can work on it.
So yellow is the first color on Rubik's Cube, which is Michael Keith Root comedy. He was a stand-up comedian for years, and when his body gave up and he couldn't stand up, he moved online. Mike's comedy can be very highbrow and thoughtful, or very lowbrow and coarse. It often requires hours of work and preparation for a 10-second punchline. For example, the year he created a stencil to showcase his peeing prowess for the World Championship of writing your name in the snow. Hours spent meticulously cutting out an engraved Gothic letter, trying to find the right color dye and squirt bottle, combination to make it work to no avail, and then because the joke demanded it, whipping it out, freezing his balls off, and pissing in the snow. Risking public indecency charges and frostbite for the perfect punchline. At least that's how I imagine it. Because Mike never goes halfway with a joke. It's all or nothing. So I open up the mic to those who have a story about Mike and his comedy. Whether it's his stand-up days, his post as Mikey Llama, the childhood prank, or the time he just made you laugh. Now's your time to shine.
All right.
Introduce yourself to us, well done.
Well, hello, I'm Brittany Tarr. I have been Mike's neighbor for 7 years.
Oh, step two, half a step in front of the mic. There you go. There you go. That way you won't feedback.
I don't want to hear myself, remember? It's been a great time. He has taught me many things. He was the dad that I didn't have for a long time. And we were very comfortable together. I would go embarrassed up here. But Mike has been everything to me as a neighbor, as a father figure in a way, and I love you. And I'm sorry this isn't super silly in ways. I think the boxer thing was the silliest, but it was just nice knowing that we could just both be in the same house and we could be as comfortable as we both could be. And now I'm going to start crying, so I think I need to pass this off so if somebody else wants to come up.
Good job.
As always, the first person to talk is the hardest. So this leaves opening money. I've got a childhood prank. Childhood prank. I'm looking at you, Uncle Bill. Childhood prank. This is my Uncle Bill, Mike's uncle, and his son Scott can't be here today, but they were childhood best friends and they got into a lot of trouble together.
First of all, Mike, I want you and your sisters and brother to know the reason why you had such a good mama is because she and your Aunt Dorothy practiced a lot on your Uncle David and your Uncle Dan. So, yes, we were kind of, her beta trial, okay? Then she came along and yeah, okay.
And by the time she got to Mike, she knew everything there was to know.
That's exactly right. So anyway, I never will forget the first time Grandpa came back from Denver, and you were about 3 or 4 years old, and he was aglow. He said, that kid started to argue with me, and I decided he's going to be a Philadelphia lawyer. So from the 3rd grade forward, Mike, Grandpa knew what was going to go down. But by the way, I got to segue back. I saw you with a Johnny Cash shirt. Did Johnny Cash sing Baroque? Huh? Kind of. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't have Johnny Cash in the Baroque genre, but okay, now he's there because you put him there. See, Mike's original. He really is. Yeah. So anyway, back. Our son Scott, who would have wanted to be here more than anything, but this was not a time he could get away. He and Mike grew up together. We were 6 blocks apart, and they were very, very tight. So I took this advice from your dad, Mike. Okay, one of the best advice I ever got was from Mike's dad, Keith. He said, raising kids requires a little bit of benign neglect. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so, Mike, I don't know all of the things that you and Scott did, but the reason I don't was because your dad said a little benign neglect. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. We had it. You remember Rusty? It was a beat up, 75 Ford, and it was called Rusty for a reason. And it cost me all $125, but I don't think anybody got more enjoyment out of $125 than you and Scott. They would go fishing, they would go swim. Did you jump off of the bridge with Scott into the Nemaha River? Yeah, well, I didn't know that until just a little bit ago that you guys were jumping into the Nemaha River off of this bridge, and I'm really glad that Shirley didn't know that too. So it was a lot of things that they did that we didn't know about, but they would go hunting, they would go camping, they would go fishing, and I'm just going to guess, Mike, but I'm just going to guess that somewhere along the line there might have been a beer or two. It might have been, Mike. I'm just going to guess that probably happened.
Hams?
Probably.
They like
But
to blow things up.
yeah, and they would play basketball, and they were just the bestest of buddies. And then Mike went through. Did you know Mike had a Michael Jackson phase? Yeah, he comes in for senior prom, okay, and he ain't come over to get Scott, And guess what? The glove, right, Mike? Yeah, Mike, you had the glove, and there wasn't a mirror that Mike went by in the house that he didn't wave at. But he went on with the Michael Jackson phase, and then I guess you went into Baroque music after that.
This is Scott. He's talking about Scott.
So anyway, Mike, we love you very much, and you're special to all of us. Yeah.
I was wondering if you could tell the story about putting together some toys.
Oh, well, I forgot the Halloween story. I can do that one, Tish. I forgot. So, we had a friend that left us a World War II gas mask and helmet, and somehow we had a mannequin, and every Halloween, Scott and Mike would put out this amazing Halloween display. But the problem was, we were really interested in attracting the little kids. That I'm not writing this out because I don't spell any better than your mother. Okay, where are you at, David?
All right, anyone else with a comedy section?
I thought you said family.
No, we're comedy now, comedy now.
Sorry.
I'd have Mike come up and tell some stand-up jokes, but I think he's quite up for standing up. But if you want to know about Mike and his jokes, there are plenty of lovely videos all over his Facebook page. I highly recommend going to the video section of his Facebook page. All right. Red. This represents Mike the lover. Mike the bachelor extraordinaire. When Mike first got sick, his sisters came over to his house to help. All of a sudden, the man cave, workshop, storage locker, living room that is Mike's bachelor wouldn't work. So I'll let them tell who won the argument, but I'll give you a hint. Last time I was there was still only 2 chairs.
Oh no, there's more now. And we brought 6.
There's 6.
6 other chairs.
Sorry, Mike, you lost. So, if you have a story about Mike the friend, either growing up with him, here at the zoo bar, telling amateur physicists jokes, or Mike the lover.
Heather?
Which I think is you, Heather.
I was laughing about the tofu bitches to the waitress. I have lots of stories.
Okay.
Do I have to stay up at the front?
You have to at least speak into the mic.
You have to go tell that. That is, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Mike, here it comes. Mike the lover.
Did he introduce, tell people who have
And if you haven't been watching the video, this is Heather. This is the mother of Crip. And I still consider her an aunt.
All right, so I'm Heather. I'm Griff's mom, and I met Mike at O'Rourke's bar, and I had written an article and found out there was a vegetarian society in town, and didn't know how to contact them. And they had seen my article, which had been about vegetarianism, and so I showed up, and there was good-looking young Mike, and he was quite the talker, and wooed me. And I remember you were talking about running for politics, and I was really impressed by that. I was very impressed by that. And he had this blazer he wore, and he looked really good. Scott's dad was talking about the waving at the mirror. Mike, yeah. Lots of hair. You had lots of hair. And we started dating, and he prided himself on making this lasagna. I had been vegan for a while, which means no dairy, no animal anything. And my system was pretty clean. And Mike made, how many types of cheese was in this? 4. It was incredible. Did anybody else here ever have that lasagna? Yeah.
He
Yeah.
kicked it up to 5 eventually.
It was incredibly good, but so rich when you're not used to it. And so I go to his place, and he had a bachelor pad. It was this cute little apartment, and he had no dishes. He had frisbees. So we had dinner on frisbees. And then the other thing about Mike is the duct tape. I cannot ever see duct tape without thinking about you. But one other, since I'm talking, can I share one more?
We're going into the next one, but go ahead and don't introduce it. You're talking duct tape.
But just don't forget about the
is
solo
that's
cup.
the topic?
That's the topic.
Okay, I'll come back then if need be.
All right, so we have Mike the lover / frisbee eater. And the third caller is Blue, Michael Keith Root, the engineer, craftsman, amateur physicist. There is a recording on Facebook, as I said, of drunk Mike home from a bar after a night of discussing physics. In the recording, he's discussing cosmic inflation on a Planck scale, which I'm not sure I understand what he means, but he does, so that's important. And then he ends with a lovely little hiccup. Mike's kind of like the original Rick and Morty. He's the original Rick. Then there was a time he recorded himself practicing the trumpet on his boombox and then played that back each day so he could read Mad Magazine in peace. The idea that laziness is the mother of invention resonates with Mike. He would rather spend half the day coming up with an easier way to do something rather than work twice as hard for that same half the day. The adage, work smarter, not harder, is not lost on Mike. But at the same time, the craftsmanship of doing it right can never be rushed. Look at his house restorations. It might have taken multiple summers, but they were amazing. I imagine you tell stories of those inventions, those contraptions, and those times when Mike spent the effort to do it right. Anybody? As everyone said, duct tape.
All right, I'll come back up. When you made those boxes, when you first were making those boxes, did I do something?
No, you just have to step the other way. There you go. Perfect.
I don't think it's on. I don't think it's on. I already broke it. I'm so sorry.
That's the best picture.
There you go. You got cord. You got my cord. You got.
One of the coolest things, not only did he teach me how to do the windows and everything too, but his inventions, going down in the basement and seeing his workshop with all of his blueprints everywhere, and then he told me about this box that he wanted to make. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. Now I'm probably going to say this wrong. It's not hexagonal or octagonal or decagonal. I don't know the word. I'm not sure.
One of them.
But there were these amazing boxes that I couldn't have even thought of. Like, most engineers probably couldn't have thought that up in their mind, and he did. And they're beautiful. Oh, there are the boxes back there.
Yeah, I got 'em right here for you.
Yeah?
Isosahedrons.
There's the word. But this wasn't even the coolest one. The coolest one he made, but not the one with glass, though.
Oh, that's on the,
No,
that's in the video.
that is on the video.
So he kept perfecting, and he kept perfecting, and it kept going and going and going. And just to know that someone had this in their head, like that they could just do this, was so amazing to me. And the final one, and I think the final one with glass probably was sold with the lights and everything. When you opened that up, it was just like, almost like it opened his heart up to you. It showed you what he thought, what he loved, what he wanted to do. Like, it was just amazing. It was amazing. It was more than anything like I said, I could ever dream of. And just to be near somebody who had that in their head was just, it was amazing. It's cool, and I'm going to keep saying amazing, amazing, amazing. But yes, the engineer that I at least got the chance to see him be was just inspiring. And I'm a poor crafter. I have a terrible crafting space, but when I see what he does and when I see how he thinks, it makes me inspired to be better and do more. And I just want you to know that that's going to be carried on and carried on and carried on. So, thank you for listening.
See if my voice even. Let me just nobody can hear me. I can't talk from this level. But one of my favorite engineering stories, very stories, is where I lived in Havelock, in a little 2-bedroom house. I had access to the basement, and I was one of the first people to start streaming podcasts, for the lack of a better word.
YouTube videos.
Yeah, but they weren't videos, they were just audio. Down in my basement, I had a really nice stereo down there. But I didn't have a way to change the volume, change the CD, or do anything from down in the basement. So I hooked up a series of mirrors going through my clothes chute in the basement, and used a laser line brother-in-law machine and lined them up.
I can tell the story if your throat's sore. He used to. This is my dad. It's always something with him. It's always something with him. The stories he's telling you about is we used to live in this old house. It's a two-story house, and he. Oh boy, I feel like I'm on an open mic night. I forget that. We had a clothes chute that ran from the basement where his workshop was. Yeah, I can just talk loud enough.
We gotta have the mic. We gotta have the mic in order to get it recorded.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what's going. I mean,
Step away from the speaker. There you go. Now you're fine.
See, my dad's a punk rock fan. That's why we're doing it this way. Just getting heavy with it. This is all planned out. He's telling the story. We used to have a two-story house. Down in the basement is his work studio. So he had a big sound system down there. And he'd be able to turn up the volume loud enough so he could go upstairs, go to the kitchen, and still be able to hear the music. Now what he did is he it was a pain in the butt to go down the stairs every time he wanted to adjust the music or change the song that's playing. So my dad jerry-rigged a series of mirrors that go from the sound system, hits a mirror, goes up the laundry chute, comes out of the laundry chute into Dad's bedroom. So all he has to do is point and click, and this roll
Into Egypt.
Yeah. Thank God that remotes were a thing at the time. Otherwise, he would have a rolled. What's it called? Goldberg. Or what's it called?
Yeah, Rube Goldberg.
He'd have a series of like, hey guys, hey. He would have a series of like bowling balls hitting other bowling balls, and a plank of wood falls over. Traps a mouse. The other story that I wanted to tell as far as like crafting goes and engineering is when I was, how old was I when you made the Lego table? Pretty young. Yeah. Oh, were you? You want to tell it?
Yeah, we got it after you were done.
Did you?
Yeah.
Everybody. So Dad made me a Lego table. It is a octagon that rotates on top of just these little drawers, series of drawers, so it can fit a lot of people around it. You can make these big, crazy cities out of your Legos. You have drawers with organizers in them, so it separates all the different colored Legos. The Legos are the actual handles. So it's awesome. And and this thing is legendary. We showed it up. He showed it off to everybody at the time. It was my favorite thing. Eventually, I got old enough, and we kept moving around enough to where I didn't need the Lego table. It first went to my mom's house, and Isaiah and his dad, took it on. They built cities on top of it. After that, it went with you guys, and someday it's going to go to your kids. Real piece of history.
Hey, tell me
I
about
don't think
Mom's
it's
table.
not destroyed, is it?
I don't think we still have that. We don't still have that anymore.
Oh.
No, right, Mom?
Remember, Grandma, when he-
I don't think we have. I don't know if
Connie, do you want to talk about the table that Mike made? Or
Yeah,
no?
Mom's table. Tell
Okay.
And then one last story, as far as engineering. I mean, we could go all night
Yeah.
with these engineering feats that he's done. The last one in particular is for Christmas one year. We would always go up with my grandma and grandpa and have and stay there for Christmas. And then one year he made grandma a table because she likes to sew, do her beads, do her projects. And it's an adjustable table. He figured out so that it can go every which direction, The only other thing he could have done is put a gyroscope on it in case there was an earthquake or something. But
And she still uses it
and she
today.
still uses it to this day, this big table. Now, his engineering stands the test of time. Maybe it involves a little more duct tape than most people's projects, but it works. Anybody else? Any other stories?
David, I got one.
I ain't even gonna say hi to you.
Hey guys, here's the table.
Oh,
Yeah.
you doing right?
It's the best table ever. Scrabble games every week on it. I only win when her oxygen level is low, though.
So do you punch it off then a little?
What happened?
I was gonna give the microphone to Peggy, but she doesn't need it. That's a joke. Hi, my name is Mike. I am Mike's brother-in-law. And I have just a short story about Mike. So I live here in Lincoln. And one time I was working for Merrill Lynch as a stockbroker. And let me tell you, that it's a very difficult job when you're managing people's money. And so I had been working for Merrill Lynch almost 4 years. And, it just came to the point I said, I don't want to do this anymore. So I called up Mike and I said, Mike, I think I'm going to quit Merrill Lynch. But I need a job. I can't just leave Merrill Lynch and not have a job. And Mike offered to come and let me work for him, restoring houses here in Lincoln. And I thought, well, Mike, I don't really have any skills or training to do that. And Mike said, no problem, I'll teach you. So I went to work for Mike, and I learned so much from him. And I would say the big thing that stands out with Mike is he is an incredible craftsman.
Amen to that.
Because this guy can go in and redo these old houses, and they look fantastic when he's done. His commitment to being a perfectionist, to doing everything the right way for the client, to where the client, when the project is done, is blown away. This is the way Mike worked. And so that's my story about Mike. I just want you to tell you that this, the craftsmanship that he could do, the level of professionalism, I was really, really impressed. So thank you, Mike, for letting me work for you for that short period of time. I learned a lot.
Thank you, Mike.
I got something.
Okay, so a few more craftsman stories, and then we're going to have to wrap it up because we have so limited time with Uncle Mike.
All right, Richie couldn't be here, the tall guy, so just pretend like I'm a lot taller than this.
Put you in a chair, that'll be all right.
Just about right. But the craftsmanship, Richie has taken on your mantle, and he is so good at doing the painting and very, very particular. And by the way, if you ever work for Richie, he has a signal if he needs you. It's the same one he uses for the kids. He whistles. I come. I go do what he tells me to do. But Mike, he can make and repair things. People can't even believe that anything was broken because of what you've taught him. And he wanted you to know that he loves the fact that he got to work with you for so often and learn your tricks. So, great job.
Mike, what is the .02 is what you have to have on your slide to get these cuts? 0.09 is the dimensions he tries to get on these cuts, which is about the width of a sheet of paper, right? That's the kind of craftsmanship he does.
You ever dual wielded a heat gun wrapped in duct tape before? I just wanted to stem off that too, because years ago I worked with
Tell us who you are.
Oh, I'm Becky, his niece. No. But years ago too, Uncle Mike did the same with me, and I think quite a few of his nieces and nephews, Jennifer, Richie, took us in as well, taught me things I didn't realize would be so life skills, the painting, the taping, the proper way to clean windows that I still use to this day. That things that I guess you don't realize that you look down now and realize that they've been major life skills that I took on. And every time I do paint and every time I do anything, I've always thought of you, and I will always think of you when I do these things. And same way Uncle Mike was just talking about, you're just like, it's okay, you don't know. I will teach you, I'll show you, and just to see how of just a free spirit you were. And it taught me even just a thought of just to go with the flow and enjoy to be present and to be in the moment and not take life so serious. And I kind of remember a time, I was pregnant with Isaiah, and I was painting, and you're in the bucket, and you had your headphones going, you're going, and I'm on the bucket, and I'm like screaming, because I'm like, you're going to knock me off this ladder. I was just listening to these headphones, and they were like the big ones back then, cassette, but I think it was probably close. I was like bigger pregnant at that time, and I was like, well, I think at this point I'll stop working for a while. But it was funny. You laughed. We all laughed about it afterwards. But that's a memory I think I'll always think about too and giggle about. So I always appreciated that, and I had to throw that in there as well.
Thank you. Great.
Speaking of contraptions and inventions, there's a video Mike has of Swedish strippers on his Facebook page. Go find it. The fourth color is gold. Mike Root, the artist, the novelist. The same desire to do it right, no matter the cost, shows up in his art and his writing. I mean, why else take 20 years to finish your first look? One of his last pieces was a resin paisley lamp that he made mold after mold, pour after pour to perfect. His art represented the idea that if it was worth doing, it was worth doing right. But more than that, he encouraged other artists and novelists to pursue their dreams and supported them. He keeps telling me to finish my novel, which I've been working on for 20 years. I hear you. So if you have something from Mike, a piece of art from him, cherish it, hold on to it, hold it dear, and when you look at it, remember Michael Keith Root. So I invite you, anybody who has something about his art, to tell about his art.
Can I tell about his story writing?
Yes, story, art, novelist, same thing.
So introduce yourself.
Well, this is
And get to the microphone.
I'm Mike's older sister. Much older. So when Mike was pretty little, maybe middle school, or wasn't that old, he would bring these stories to me. And I would always be fascinated with them. Always. And one of those stories turned into Tangent. Parts of it anyway. And then he has several short stories and those were all beginnings of stories that he told me about. Long time ago. So I will remember that and cherish that forever and ever. That was fun. And to collaborate with you, obviously Elle finished it. But just to get it to the point where it could get to Elle was so fun and such a important moment in my life. So thanks, man.
Amen.
And she has a novel that she should write too.
Yes, she does. Would you just ask Elle to stand
And
up?
then-
Elle was instrumental in helping to get that book.
Thank you so very much. And if you don't have a copy, there are copies for sale. I'm sure Mike will even sign it for you. Only a few left. Any other artwork pieces people want to talk about is art?
Art or novelist?
Art or novelist?
Okay. Now, I am tall. I am beautiful with the most gorgeous lips and long hair. It's Jennifer. Because Jennifer and Richie were both, that's my daughter. I know. Genetics were kind to me. They gave it to the kids. They gave it to the kids. But this is from Jennifer, Mike. This was Jennifer's project. 2 things she wanted you to know. You and my Jennifer marched to the tune of a different drummer. Most of it have not heard the beat, but you guys never miss a beat, and you stay true to yourselves. That's what you and Jen have in common. But she wanted to put something special together for you with a few of your quotes from your books. So these are from Jennifer that she got people really liked of your book. Prairie plankton danced with microscopic dirt shrimp sliding across the floor of light on a bright orange sheet of cheese dust to the rocking sounds of Eddie and the Currents. Cheetos being kicked in a dirty room. I love that. Unexpected travel suggestions are dancing lessons from the universe. Love that one. It was one of those times when you learn a lot, but most of what you learned was how much more there was to learn.
Yeah.
We sat down to talk about what's next. You know, like adults in the middle of a crazy adventure. Yeah, that'll be it. Okay, like I said, Jennifer wanted to be able to do this, but she couldn't. Kat turned to a petite woman with silver hair. She had a wiry, mischievous smile, like she was hip to a hysterical inside joke and the rest of the world were suckers. Tish, let's start with you. In other words, you got the joke, we didn't. Or maybe you didn't get the joke.
I got the joke.
I usually don't. I generally don't care about what I wear, but having a t-shirt with Johnny Cash flipping the bird is pretty much everything I want to say to the world. That may have been in the story, but that is Mike. I wanted to get the ball rolling and get on the road, get things moving, but these were very cautious people. I suppose you don't get to be a 500-year-old secret coven of witches by not being careful. I might come off as a bit of a clown sometimes, but I assure you I take my sciences very seriously. I've been studying physics my whole adult life, and I stick to real science. You clearly know a lot more about me than I do about you, I said. One thing I'm sure you have figured out is that I am stubborn. On this point, I will not budge. Yes, this book is definitely about Mike. He is stubborn. Another superpower I have is denial, being able to blow things off at a world-class level. If I took full advantage of this superpower, who knows where I could go. By all rights, we should have been terrified, but we weren't. I love adventure, and this is going to be epic. Mike knows how to make adventures for small children, too, not just for us adults that read that book. You'll hear about that later. But one of my favorite descriptions in the book, and it's just a simple description, it was like the tangy echo of ballpark mustard. I love that. So that was mine, but this is from Jennifer. She wanted to tell you these.
So as I stated before, the 5th color is green, family. The stories told by a family about themselves will tell you a lot about the family. I think the stories you've heard so far and will hear show our family is one who truly like each other. We like getting together and spending time together. We genuinely love and cherish each other, and we show that in our actions and deeds, even if we have a hard time expressing it in words. We're loud and boisterous as we come together to celebrate and to grieve. I mean, who else but the Roots have a funeral service for someone who's still living? But honestly, isn't it better to tell the person to their face how much they meant to you than after they're gone?
Yes.
Amen.
As I said before, Mike is my uncle. He's always been the cool uncle, the one I patterned my own uncle habits after. When we get together, we talk nerd, culture, writing, science, politics, economics, technology. He taught me how to play chess and was never afraid to take my king in as few moves as possible. After all, how do you ever really learn if you don't lose? Mike's stated goal was to corrupt his nieces and nephews, and it was a goal he accomplished.
Yes, he did.
So I open the floor up to people who have stories about Mike growing up as a family. We've heard some of them, but there's more than you want to tell. Mike is a young man. Mike is an uncle. Mike is a brother. Mike is a cousin. Mike is a nephew.
I'll go.
I will have a special story.
I actually have prompts for this story. So, my name's Debbie and I'm Mike's sister. And my mom died in April. My birthday rolled around to September. And it's kind of a sad story actually, but Connie wasn't with us yet, and everybody forgot my birthday. And so I'm in my room, and I'm kind of crying, you know, and my brother Mike comes in, and he couldn't say my name. He called me Dobby. And he said, Dobby, what is wrong? And I said, oh, you know, it's just my birthday, and nobody remembered. If Mom was here, she would have remembered. And so he ran his little 4-year-old self to his most prized possession. And he brought me this back. And to everybody else, this looks like just a broken down little bulldog. It has a bandage around its head because at that point we were just a broken family. And it was missing some of the legs. I think I broke off some of after the years. But I have carried this around with me for 50 years. It's never left my side, and I've moved to California. I've moved all over. And nobody accidentally said, oh, that's junk, and threw it away, and I'm so grateful. And it was just his prized possession. So I've never, ever got a birthday present that meant more to me than this little broken figurine. So thank you, Mike.
Anybody else?
Anything else? Are you gonna do the stories?
Yes, we have that. Anybody else have something about family?
Debbie?
I think there's another Snyder with the story. What a surprise. Uncle Dan.
I am Dan Snyder. I would be Mike's. Yeah, I would be Mike's uncle. And for some of you, I'm a really great uncle, as opposed to Uncle Bill, who's just slightly great. Anyway, I have one story, and I thought somebody else would tell it by now. It doesn't have anything to do with me. When Mike was about 4, he went over to his grandma and grandpa Snyder's house, and he was there with his grandfather. And grandfather Snyder, he would tell you he did not like television. He did not like country music. He liked the classics, and that was it. And so Grandma went to lodge that night, and when she came home, she said, Mike, how was your night? And he said, oh, it was great. Grandpa and I watched Hee-Haw. There is one more thing, and this was inadvertent. You were talking about liking science. There is an EM equals MC squared, and either Mike or Shane can tell you how that works. The rest of it's the whole gamut.
That was awesome.
Any other stories about my family man?
I'm coming as me. I'm Peggy. I'm his sister. That's me now. Yeah. Where's my long hair?
And she's 6'5" also.
Yep. Mike, the first time I saw you, Mom was holding you in the hospital window because heaven forbid that children should get to go in the hospital. Things have changed a little bit. In Pawnee City, and she uncovered your little feet. Little tiny feet, and I thought they looked like little baby candy bars. And I love baby baby's feet from here on out. I'm always uncovering their feet and looking at them and kissing them. And it's because of you.
Chasing them down, running after them.
This is not about me. Shut up. It's Mike's roast. You were little and you loved the Three Little Bears. The story of the Three Little Bears. And one day you were really tired and you went in and laid on Dad's side of the bed. This is too hard. And you laid on Mom's side of the bed. This is too hard. And then you put a pillow on the floor and you laid down. This is just right. And you took your nap. So, that was pretty cute. Another story. You're a little older now. Should know better. We had the most amazing tree in Humboldt. It had been struck by lightning and had a big hole in the middle, but it had a great big branch that leaned down. It was the best tree for climbing, thinking, or possibly making it your potty tree. We couldn't figure out why it was stinking. It was because Mike and his friend used it as their potty tree. I guess when they were up thinking all of their profound thoughts up in that tree, they didn't have time to go into the house and pee. It was a good tree though, even if it stunk sometimes. And the last story about Mike is what he did for Francis and I. My husband and I eloped. We put two families together, we left them with the sitter, and we eloped. But Mike said you cannot elope because you have to go out of the house on a ladder. Well, this was kind of in a very bad period of time, and it wasn't really a good time to put an ice storm and ladder up to the window. So he used to put a 3-step step ladder outside the steps so that I could go down out of the house on a ladder, and I did officially elope.
So I'm going to tell a story about Mike, the Husker fan. And I know that Mike is very much a Husker fan because Grandma Snyder was a Husker fan. And if you ever watched a football game with Grandma Snyder, you learn a lot of new words. Well, new ways of saying things, I think is a better way of saying it. They showed your disgust at the world. And so Mike's a lifelong Husker fan, and we all wish that he would do better. But hey, always next year.
Would you explain that chart? Why do
Oh,
you have that chart?
so if you don't know, Mike is a genius when it comes to Excel. And he's created this Excel spreadsheet where he can bid jobs. And I think that's the Excel spreadsheet we're looking at now. But he also created an Excel spreadsheet where he could hack Keno. And he learned that there was some fault in Keno. And he can tell you the details because, again, I'm not the engineer, he is. He figured out the issue and then hacked it for $4,000. How much? Higher. We'll say 4,000 because that maybe not get into the felony range. I don't know what the statute of limitations is, so we'll just say he made enough money to be okay for a while. How much was it? $18,000.
$18,000.
So hopefully.
He calls me. I lived above him. He called me. And he goes, Griff, come downstairs. And I was like, I thought I was in trouble. I come downstairs. He has stacks on stacks on stacks. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like still waking up.
One of my favorite memories of Mike is his 40th birthday party. We had a Prairie Home Companion party for him because that was one of his favorite shows. So I was able to actually write a short story for him. And one of my favorite memories is being able to tell him that short story. Of course, we also had a Prairie Home Companion show, and we told the story of him and Scott deciding that the bathtub on the second floor of the house was a perfect water park. Water park. And people figured out that the water park wasn't holding water when it started dripping down onto the first floor. But until then, they were having great fun. So, with that, there's a very important letter we want to read.
Oh, wait a minute. Griff needs to tell at least the pirate
Harry Five.
But the next one is family.
This is family. He's got father. He's got a
I got
father.
father, yes.
No, the family is the Tyrant Adventure story.
He's got his stories. We'll let him go. All right. We're short in time. Short on time, Anthony. So, Mike's got a story. Oh, Mike's good. Mike's good. All right. So, any other family story?
Why are you playing that? Oh.
Yes, because the three sisters got up and sang Babyface to him. That's right. And as you saw on the
Three
video,
sisters thought to get up and sing Babyface again.
Babyface, you've got the cutest little
Come on, David.
baby face. That's how I know the song.
so,
Didn't like being called baby.
yes. Any other family stories? At this time, I'm going to have Aunt Debbie read a letter from Grandma Marie.
Would you like the microphone? Just on it.
There's a visual aid I'll be passing around.
It is so, I'm so happy to see
Get closer,
everybody's
closer,
face here.
closer.
I'm so happy to see everybody's face here. This is wonderful, so thank you so much. The letter that I'm going to try to get through is a letter that my mom wrote, Maureen Snyder Root. She wrote it to be read on Mike's 13th birthday. Mike was born May 26, 1966. So, Connie being organized and everything, she kept that letter safe and sound for Mike, and he did get it on his 13th birthday. So thank you for that, Connie. We appreciate that. You're so organized. So this, as you all know, my mom was sick. So I'm just going to read the letter verbatim, exactly how she wrote it. I might have thought that she misspelled a few words, but probably she didn't. It was probably me. So excuse the misspellings. Dearest Mike, today you are a young man. You are 13 years old, so happy birthday, son. I only knew you for a few short years of your life, but the Lord chose to take Mama to heaven with him. It is kind of like we started on a long journey with a wonderful promise of a beautiful life at the end. God lets some of us walk all the way, but God decided to meet Mom halfway and take her home with him. You may have a new mother now, and if you do, I want you to love her, and I want you to be good for her. So she goes on to tell a couple of stories. She said, Mike, I can remember waiting for you. They said you'd be here 6 weeks before you showed up. That was a miserable 6 weeks. I had your bed and your chest in my room, and I almost cried at night to see nothing there. But boy, oh boy, you made up for it. When you arrived, you were such a good baby. And I had made up my mind that I was going to spoil you, regardless of what anybody said. I was going to spoil you. She says, you were my boy. So when you were 1, and we have pictures of this very thing, and I think they're being passed around. So Mike is the little boy in the red outfit. So Mom says, all these years ago, she says, when you were 1, I dressed you in the cutest red short set, and I let you out to play. There was a great big dog that was tied up next to the door, and you would go after him and run right for him. He would knock you down every time, but you didn't mind. You always got back up for more. We had what we call a feed your dog on the floor laugh. One day when you were in your high chair laughing so hard, we had to peek around and see what you were doing, and you were feeding the dog. Needless to say, Skipper always sat by you. That was the original Skipper, and I think we've had 5 or 6 Skippers in the family since then. And so, you know, a couple of people have mentioned that Mike never wanted to be called like baby face or a baby or little. So Mom writes, you always wanted to be called Big Mike, and I spent half of my time to try to make you say that you were actually little. You and I used to eat our breakfast after the kids went to school. We ate oatmeal, and we called it porridge. You were the Papa Bear, and I was the Mama Bear. And then one day, Daddy was home, and I said to Mike, Daddy is Papa Bear, and I'm Mama Bear, so who are you? And you thought for a minute, and you said, I guess I'll be Grandpa Bear then. One time, only one time, I made you admit that you were little, because the rest of the family was much bigger. And then you thought for quite a while, and you finally said, yes, Mom, I'm little. I'm little. You finally gave in. And then one day, you were told to roll up the car window, and you said no. And you were mad that you had to roll up the window. And Mom said, in her mom voice, I would imagine, she said, Mike, what did you say? And he thought about it for a second, and then she said, you said, I don't know for sure what I said, Mom, but I'm pretty sure I said yes. She says, I really hope that you can read this, because I lost a lot of control in my right hand, and it gets so tired. But usually, I was never a good writer, but usually better than this. So you were also just a wee bit stubborn. I think several other people have mentioned that. You hated to dress yourself. You hated to pick up your toys or anything along those lines. And unless Mom really, really got after you, you would finally do it. Mom said, I had to go to the hospital for a while when I got sick. But I always said to you, I want to come back home. I want to come home to my family. And she said, I was able to do that. And that was a good thing. She wants to know if you remember, and the picture that's floating around will also validate this story regarding puppies. So she said, do you remember the litter of puppies? You had your favorite puppy the very first day, and you would hold it all day, every day, and always went to get that same puppy. So we decided to keep that favorite puppy just for you. And I remember that. So she concludes by saying, well, my big Mike, darling, you really are big now. How I wish I could have watched you grow all those years. But God had different plans. Mike, we don't always understand his plans, but we know in the end that he looks out for us, because God loves us better than we can ever know, sometimes even better than your own mother and father. When when things get rough, he is there to take care of you and to help you carry the load and all of your worries. We only have to ask him and let him take over for us. She signs off with, goodbye, son. I love you so much. Mom. Written so many years ago, my mom.
The sixth and final color is white. Mike, the father. If you ask Griff, he'll tell you Mike was a great dad. All that you could ask for in a father. If you ask Mike, he'll say he did his best, and there are things he regrets. But then again, what worthwhile dad doesn't have regrets? Things they wish they could go back and do better. That's what makes them good dads, the willingness to grow and learn and be better. I know Griff has some particular stories he wants to share about his dad. On that note, here's Griff.
All right. I'm Griff. I'm Mike's son. Boy, where to start? I got a great dad here. I have one story in particular that I was thinking about. You know, Dad always, he's a great dad. He was the best dad. And just took care of the people around him. Took care of his community, took care of my best friends, my brothers. Every time we would have a sleepover, it's time to party. We each get our own pizza, our own bag of chips. We're putting squirty cheese on everything just because we can. You know, it was a blast. We get video games. He's always there every step. We used to have a family next door, and I remember one day it was the 4th of July, and I had a living girlfriend at the time. Dad lives in a house that's converted into an apartment building. And so I lived above that. And so me and my girlfriend are sitting outside on the porch on 4th of July, watching the fireworks go off. And my dad comes out. And he's kind of standing there, and he goes, Griff, come here. And again, I'm like, oh shit, you know, I'm in trouble. He comes in, or I come in, he hands me $60. And he had noticed, I didn't even notice, he had noticed that our neighbors, they were kind of a poor family. We don't live in the best neighborhood in the whole world. And there are these 3 little girls, maybe from 6 to 10, all 3 of them. And they're also sitting on their stoop watching the fireworks. So Dad notices, he tells me, come here. I come inside, he gives me $60. He says, go buy as many fireworks as you can, and then go give them to the girls and play with the girls with the fireworks. And this is just one example out of 100 of just his heart, you know, and wanting to put some joy into the world. The best example of that is one time we are in Oregon. Also, here, real quick before I forget, thank you all for being here. It's lovely to see y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jennifer at home and the family. Thank you, everybody. It's really special. Absolutely. Yeah, Jennifer, sorry you couldn't be here. We wish you were here.
And Richie.
And Richie. Oh, good, good.
The 2 tall people.
The 2 tall people here, yeah. Well, it's a short ceiling, so maybe it's good that you didn't come. But then my dad, myself, and then Robin, his significant other at the time, we all went out to a trip to Oregon to be able to see him. And so we met in Bend, Oregon, is where we met. Well, no, we went to Crater Lake, we went around, we went spelunking, which isn't as gross as it sounds, it's just cave diving. So strange name for it though. But we meet in Bend, Oregon to go camping. And so we're camping for 2 nights. And my whole life, my dad's had a strange fascination with his voice recorder. And these are my brothers right here. This is Isaiah, Steve, Keegan, and then we're missing one of my other brothers, Zeb. My dad's a lovely guy, loves taking care of kids. He also likes fucking with them as much as he possibly can get away with. He's the type, you know those fireworks where you pull them apart and they explode? Every time we go outside, he's down there tying the handle to the door itself, so when you open it up, it explodes. I mean, constantly. One of his favorite pranks is he would take his voice recorder and would do one of two things. This is our entire childhood. He would do one of two things. He would either record on it wolf noises, and we would always go out to Wilderness Park, just out here. We go for walks in the deep woods, go off the trail. It's a blast. And then while us kids are playing around and pretending that we're, Jedi masters with sticks and stuff, Dad would just kind of casually put the recorder down, put it on speakerphone, turn it on, and then say, "Guys, do you hear that?" And we're like, immediately freaked out. And all of a sudden, sure enough, you hear, "Oh!" And we're like, we got to get out of here. One time, my dad tried to talk me into getting a snitch, which is a fake thing. He told me that there's this mythical creature that lives in the woods, and we set up a box, we set up a stick, and I think what Dad did is he's like, all right, let's go for a walk so that we have an opportunity to catch the snitch. I'm pretty sure Dad just knocked it over, stuck the recorder under it, and then we come back and he's like, oh my gosh, we actually caught it. Okay, great, come here, you have to catch it as soon as I raise the box. I'm like, no. Raises the box, blam! It's just every day with this guy. It's something. So if he's not pretending that there are wolves or mythical creatures attacking you, he's pretending that there are ghosts under the stairwell. And Dad at one point recorded, he called it, what was it, Magic Fred? Magic Fred. We lived on a house on the outskirts of town there. It was Keegan, his brother Zeb, and myself, best friends, always together, as much as we could be. They were staying the night. And Dad recorded ghost noises. Magic Fred, who's basically just an alcoholic who lives underneath your stairs. He's not trying to hurt you. He's just like, hey, you kid. Right. It scared Zeb so much, Dad had to drive Zeb back home. Wouldn't ever come back to our house ever again. Oh, was it Keegan and Zeb? Oh, was it? I thought it was Zeb. That's funny. So, all of this just amounted to be practice towards his ultimate prank. Where we're out in Oregon, we're in Bend, Oregon, we're going camping. We meet up with Jennifer, Max, and Maisie, her husband at the time, and then
It was Brian.
Yeah, and then my dad, Robin, and myself. And so we set up camp, we're in these mountains, everything is peaceful. Nothing could go wrong. You feel you're at one with the world. And I'm just standing there taking it in, and my dad goes, hey, come here, I got an idea. Pulls out his tape recorder. And apparently when they were driving down to the campsite, there were reports on the radio about mountain lions going around. And so they were kind of worried about it. They heard about it. And my dad's like, you know what would be a great idea? Let's pretend that you get attacked by a mountain lion. And so I'm like, finally, I get to be on this end of the joke. As long as it's not against me. Yeah, let's scare some kids, whatever. Holy crap. And so then, do you want to tell the funny part, or do you want me to? And so he's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go, he has his tape recorder, he's like, I'm going to go to the outhouse, because that's good acoustics. He goes to the outhouse, and he's like, I'm going to go to the outhouse, I'm going to record a couple minutes worth of growling and mountain lion noises. So Dad goes into the outhouse, it's at the very bottom of this huge backpacking trail, and he's there in the outhouse, and he wanted to make sure he captures it. So for minutes, he's in the outhouse. Man. He's like, all right, that's probably good. Turns off the recorder, walks outside. There's a line of 5 hikers just waiting, wide-eyed, like, man, do we need to call an ambulance? Like, are you okay? They were surprised he was just able to walk out of there after all that. So then, finally, prank didn't exactly go as planned. We plant the at this point, you know, it's a classic. Dad goes out, me and Dad go out on a walk, plant the tape recorder, turn it on. We take Max and Maisie out, and they start hearing it, and I'm like, oh, here. Because if it's not funny enough to scare a kid about a mountain lion attack, you might as well kick it up a notch and pretend that you actually got attacked by a mountain lion. So I had a bottle of ketchup in my back pocket. I'm like, don't worry, kids, I got this. I go out behind the log, and then I go, ah! I just squirt some ketchup on my arm. I come back to the campsite. I'm like, oh goodness, oh my God. These children have never been so afraid in their life. I'm pretty sure we scarred them forever. And and so then we told him it's a prank, it's okay. Dad felt bad about it. And Dad, being the sweet guy he is and caring about kids, what he decided to do, so I guess what we did from there, we camped, we went back up to Portland, and then we met up with Peggy and Francis and their friends up in wherever it was, Beach House. We're all staying in the same house. Dad felt bad about it because the kids are still traumatized. They're still like, you know how as a kid, if they tell you make a face long enough, your face is going to get stuck like that? That's how much he scared these kids. As they're still, it's 3 days later, and they're still like looking for mountain lions as they're in the ocean. Scared the crap out of these kids. So Dad wanted to make it up to him. So he did a couple of things. Because it's Max, Maisie, Chad was there, and so Dad's like, gotta make it up to him. So first thing he did for Max was obsessed with pirates at the time. So he made a fake treasure map, put it in a bottle, and then he told Jennifer to go, you know, hide the bottle, go to the beach, go play on the beach, bury the bottle, and then have Max just accidentally find it. Max finds this bottle, opens it up, it's a treasure map. Oh my God, they follow the dotted line. It leads back to the backyard of the rental house that we're staying in. And during this time, and I guess a few days before as well, Dad's been preparing. He bought dry ice, he bought a gallon of milk, spilt out the milk, opened it up, filled it with a little bit of water so that there's a fog effect. He suspended that from the top of a tree, put a disco ball in there, put a couple of spotlights so it looks like a magical entity is living in this tree, got a walkie-talkie, put that in the tree, he hid in the kitchen. And so Max comes down, and then he also, for Max, he bought a little treasure chest filled with the chocolate coins you can get, all sorts of pirate-themed stuff. Pirate booty, exactly. Exactly. And so then, so Dad's hunched over, and Max is coming through, and he sees this fog, and just the light reflecting off of the disco ball, and Max is like, wow, wow. Walks up to it, and then my dad goes, arrgh! Oh, matey! Loved it. Had a little conversation with Max, gave him the treasure chest. Dad wasn't finished yet. He got them to go back out of the house. While he did that, he fixed it up a little bit. He had, this time, he was a fairy, which a lot of you guys know my dad, but if you've never heard him do an impression of a fairy, you are missing out. And so we gave Maisie a little thing, and then Chad's there as well. And so then, at that time, Dad's just improvising. He's just having a blast. And so for Chad, it was just straight up an old smoker at a bar. I think we bought him a cigar. Fantastic. What other stories you want to tell?
I want to hear the fairy hose. Can you do it? Can you
Oh, no. No, I love you, but no. You have to buy me a drink first. Yeah. Anybody else have any stories? I mean, I just asked my father, Mom, do you have any good? Well, so here's the other thing then. I guess, since we're kind of winding down here, is this is just something I've always been so appreciative of, is my dad has always been amazing. When I would get upset about stuff, he knew how to talk to me. When I would get out of hand, he knew how to ground me. When I would get upset with my mom, he would protect her. And they always had such a great relationship together, just as friends. And I'm so appreciative of that, because growing up in school, so many people get divorced and this or that nowadays, that it's hard to have a healthy relationship and that sort of concept. I just grew up exactly the person that I'm able to be because of your ingenuity, your problem solving, your skills of being a business owner. I've been able to, it brought me the strengths that I have today. And and then last thing I got is that aside from just being a great dad and my best friend, you're also a superhero to me. And I love you.
So we're not even going to try to follow that up. We're done. And we can see where the apple doesn't fall from the tree.
Dave, tell them how they can get a copy of that.
This video, if you want it, I would post it on Facebook. My Facebook page will be posting on the group Facebook page, posting on Mike's Facebook page. The live stream will also be posted all over the Facebook pages, so Facebook.
And there's plenty of food, please.
And please,
eat
this
up.
food is paid for. It's not like it's going to go to waste, and it doesn't want to go to my waste. So please. So while the event portion of the night is over with, the rest of the night can continue. Please enjoy.
I just want to say, David, thank you so much. David did the video. David did the video.
Not a problem. So enjoy.
Oh, and we have books available here if you want them signed.
Yes, if you need a signed book, now is your time. What, $20? $20.
It's worth the read, guys. It's
Start.
amazing.
It's from myself and Jennifer.